Today on the CTV News at 5, the campaign trail is already heating up as Premier Redford calls an election. Plus, a surprise guilty plea from the man who kidnapped Keenan Hebert from his Sparwood, BC home. And a look at the strongest team at the Women's World Curling Championships, Team Volunteer.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. As expected, the Premier has dropped the writ for the provincial election, with Albertans heading to the polls April 23rd. Alison Redford's Progressive Conservatives are gunning for a 12 consecutive majority dating back to 1971. Their main opposition is expected to come from the Wild Rose Party. Opposition critics say the Tories have lost public trust because of problems in healthcare, education, and the workings of government. Redford has said a Wild Rose government would mean a wrecking ball for schools and hospitals.
This election will be a defining moment where we will decide what we want the future to be and how we want to conduct ourselves. And I'm looking forward to talking to Albertans and letting them make those decisions over the next 28 days.
The next 28 days may well be the most important 28 days our province has ever faced. We will show Albertans that we are courageous and principled, that we will fight for what's right, and that we will give this all we've got and then some.
At dissolution, the Tories had 67 seats in the 83-seat legislature. The Liberals had 8, Wild Rose 4, NDP 2. The Alberta Party 1, and there was 1 independent. But it appears the timing of the election call doesn't exactly work in favor of the Tories. A new poll shows the reigning PCs will have a major fight on their hands thanks to the Wild Rose. The Think HQ poll says the Tories have a narrow lead in the province, with 26% of voters supporting them. The Wild Rose just 2 points back at 24% support. The NDP with 10% and Liberals with 9% are in a dogfight of their own. However, overall, 23% of Albertans still say they don't know who they'll cast their ballots for. In Lethbridge, the first campaign signs went up this morning, but most of the candidates started campaigning weeks, even months ago. Terry Vogt reports.
In Lethbridge, the provincial election campaign is already underway. Most of the candidates say they've been actively campaigning for months now.
Well, I was nominated in mid-September, early September, and I've been knocking on doors ever since. We've knocked on over 4,000 doors in this community so far. And so I've been telling people that I feel like I'm in an American election cycle because it's the campaign that'll never end. So finally, we have a light at the end of the tunnel for April 23rd.
The New Democrats aren't the only ones off to a fast start. Lethbridge East Wild Rose candidate Kent Prestige has also knocked on more than 4,000 doors, about a third of his constituency.
I think it's going to be very interesting. We're not going to shy away from pointing out the things that the PCs have done wrong, but we're also going to present a vision for this province that I think Albertans are going to just love.
The race in Lethbridge East will be one worth watching. The Liberals have a new face on the billboards. Rob Miyashiro won the Liberal nomination after Bridget Pasteur crossed the floor to join Premier Redford and the Conservatives.
Since I was nominated, we've been in catch-up mode since then. I think I've developed a pretty good team around me, some people that are seasoned political veterans, and me being the community-based person versus the political person, I think we have a really good balance for this campaign.
Surprisingly, incumbent Bridget Pasteur is also playing catch-up, saying she's been very occupied with government business. Pasteur is expecting an interesting and exciting race.
In Lethbridge East, we could easily have a right split and a left split, which is why I think it's going to be very interesting.
For candidates in Lethbridge East, the question is, will Liberal voters follow Pasteur, stay Liberal, or go to the NDP or Wild Rose? One thing all the candidates seem to agree on is that it's time to find out what the voters are thinking. Terry Vogt, CTV News, Lethbridge.
And here's a look at the candidates running in Lethbridge East. The incumbent is PC candidate Bridget Pasteur. Rob Miyashiro is representing the Liberals. Tom Moffat is running for the NDP, and the Wild Rose Alliance candidate is Kent Prestige. In Lethbridge West, the incumbent is PC candidate Greg Weddick. The Liberal candidate is Balbura, representing the NDP, Shannon Phillips. And the Wild Rose Alliance candidate is Kevin Kinahan. Now, on the federal front today, Thomas Mulcair took his seat in the House of Commons as the opposition leader.
For us to make sure that we stay focused on the job ahead. We're united. We're facing a government that's very tough, very well structured, and we've got to do the same thing. We've got to structure an official opposition that will bring a fight to them like they've never seen before.
Mouclair won the NDP leadership on Saturday, replacing the late Jack Layton. The Quebec MP says he was pushing for a centralist approach, but has ruled out merging with the Liberals.
98% of the people.
And in Alberta, Linda Duncan holds the lone NDP seat in Edmonton-Strathcona. Local NDPers say they need to pick up seats in the West.
We have to do better in the West because we only have 3 seats, 2 in Manitoba and 1 in Alberta. Saskatchewan, we had 30% of the vote, no seats. So clearly we have to, if we're going to be the government, this has to be a major battleground.
Now, Mouclair intends to keep on most of the staff that served with the late Jack Layton. And we're told that the city of Lethbridge is reporting a $1.3 million surplus last year. The financial statements were presented to City Council this afternoon. Officials say a higher than expected growth in the property tax base is one of the reasons for the surplus. The additional money will go back into reserve accounts. Dory Roster, double-digit highs on the way for tomorrow.
I know it's hard to believe after today. We've had the mist, we had the cloud cover here in Lethbridge, snow to the west, snow to the north. But yeah, we are looking at an area of high pressure starting to dig in after midnight tonight and developing throughout the day tomorrow. So we should be squeaking just past, those single digits into double-digit highs tomorrow. And the rest of the week is looking pretty nice. I'll tell you all about it in a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Dory. Well, a surprising development in the case of a man accused of abducting and then returning a 3-year-old Sparwood boy. Randall Hopley has pleaded guilty. Randall Hopley made a brief court appearance this afternoon in Cranbrook by video link from a jail in Kamloops. The 46-year-old is accused of kidnapping 3-year-old Keenan Hebert from his bed September the 7th. 4 days later, the boy was mysteriously returned. Hopley was later arrested at a gravel pit near Crow's Nest Pass after a massive Canada-wide manhunt. Kimberly Davidson joins us now. She was in the courtroom this afternoon as Hopley pleaded guilty. Kimberly, what was the feeling in the room? What's happening?
Randall Hopley appeared by video in Cranbrook Supreme Court, pleading guilty to a charge of abduction of a child under the age of 14 and break and enter with the intent to commit an indictable offense. He pled not guilty to another charge of kidnapping, and it is expected that the Crown will stay that charge. His lawyer has asked for a pre-sentencing report. Sentencing will happen again in Cranbrook July 18th and 19th.
Thank you, Kimberly. Keenan Hebert's family was not in court today to hear the guilty plea. Well, border agents at Coots have made their biggest narcotics seizure of the year. The Canada Border Services Agency says 6 kilograms of cocaine was located during a search of commercial goods arriving at Coots on Thursday. The cocaine was discovered by their detector dog, Trooper, who indicated there may be drugs contained in a wooden barrel. And the barrel was x-rayed. Officers found the cocaine concealed within the wooden panels. Officers are continuing to question an Alberta man who was importing the goods, and they are not releasing any other information at this time, but say the investigation is ongoing. Last year, there were 64 drug seizures at the Coots border crossing. Well, 2 people have been arrested after Redcliffe RCMP discovered a massive marijuana grow-op. The highly sophisticated operation was found in a basement after police executed a search warrant at a home on Friday. Several $1,000s worth of plants were seized, as well as the equipment used in the hydroponic operation. Charges have been laid against 28-year-old Jessica Hertz and 39-year-old Shane LeBlanc. Meanwhile, a 46-year-old Lethbridge woman is facing drunk driving charges after breathing over 3 times the legal limit into a breathalyzer. Around 1 o'clock Sunday morning, a vehicle was going the wrong direction in the 400 block of Stafford Drive South. Police pulled the vehicle over, and the driver put the vehicle in reverse instead of park and then backed into the police cruiser. Catherine Toth faces a number of charges. A 20-year-old man has serious injuries after a crash at a southern Alberta ski hill. The man was rushed from Castle Mountain by ground ambulance to Claresholm Hospital, where he was picked up by a Stars chopper. The man was unconscious on the hill. He was found yesterday afternoon. No witnesses saw the crash. A ski patrol picked him up after he was reported unconscious on a Black Diamond run. Resort staff say it looks like he crashed into a tree, but say he could have hit the snow as well. The man wasn't wearing a helmet. He is now in Foothills Hospital. Hundreds of people are expected to take part in next weekend's Project Homeless Connect. The city announced the details of the 7th biannual event this morning. The day features dozens of agencies joined under one roof to connect the city's homeless and those in financial risk with critical services. Project Homeless Connect also offers the chance to see a doctor, look for a job, get financial advice. City staff say the event is also part of their 5 years to end homelessness plan.
The Project Homeless Connect ties into this in terms of the support services that are required and to help people become integrated in the community once they have got their own home and then they have an opportunity to be part of the community and participate in community activities. So having those support services is absolutely critical and getting them connected.
Today, the Lions Club of Lethbridge donated $3,000 to the event. Anyone wanting to make a donation of cash, clothing, or toiletries can contact the Salvation Army. The city is also looking for volunteers. The event runs next Saturday at the Fritzig Auditorium. Local police are joining forces to cycle for a good cause. Members of Lethbridge, Calgary, and the Blood Tribe Police Services, as well as local RCMP, will cycle on stationary bikes at Park Place Mall to raise money for Special Olympics. Athletes from Special Olympics will also join in the ride.
They have just as much energy as anyone else, and they put a lot of effort into what they do. And if you go to any of their functions, you'll see the excitement that they have. So when you see that, you can't but help look for ways to assist them in their endeavors.
The event will take place March 31st. 5 Southern Alberta women were honored this weekend for their dedication to the community. The YWCA hosted the 36th Women of Distinction Awards. Organizers say it's important for women to have strong role models because there's still gender disparity.
We own about 1% of property worldwide. Certainly we're seeing the over-sexualization of girls. To be able to highlight women who've contributed to their communities, that are leaders, that help society on a daily basis, humbly many times, not looking for things. We can highlight these women and actually create those role models for other young women.
This year's winners were Sarah Ames, Vicky Venata Miller, Bergamone, Mary Rente, and Edith Stewart. Markets today, the dollar did close up on a slightly higher note. Here's a final look at the day's numbers.